Hi, I'm Nick Harcourt. Welcome to Guitar Center Sessions. We're here at the world-famous Guitar Center on Sunset Boulevard in Hollywood, California. Please welcome our guests, Bush.
I want you to remember love so full it can send us all ways. I want you to surrender all my feelings rose today, and I want you to remain the power of children can of me. I try not to complain. I know that's a piss up, baby. Chemical between us, the walls are lying between us, lying in this bed. Chemicals displaced, there is no longer state, lying in this bed. I want you to remember everything you said, every driven word, like a hammer, hell to my head. Chemicals between us, the walls are lying between us, lying in this bed. Chemicals displaced, there is no lonelier face, lying in this bed. Chemicals between us, chemicals between us, lying in this bed. The hollow men, we are the naked ones. I never meant you harm, I never meant you wrong. And I'd like to thank all of my lovers, 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 lovers. Chemicals between us, the army of achievers, lying in this bed. Chemicals displaced, there is no lonely state, lying in this bed. Chemicals between us, chemicals between us, chemicals. It's no lonelier, there is no lonelier, there is no lonelier. Chemicals between us, chemicals between us. Chemicals between us, chemicals between us, lying in this bed.
I'm Nick Harcourt. We're talking with Gavin Rossdale from the band Bush. First of all, thanks for coming in and playing for us. It's great to meet you.
Thank you.
Pleasure. Why don't we start way back somewhere in the beginning, maybe when you first heard music? Can you remember your earliest musical recollection?
Yeah, I suppose my mum playing stuff around the house, but I also grew up with my aunt lived in my house as well. So she was super hip, out all night, coming in when I'd be going to school, that kind of stuff. And so it was really her taste of music that started me off, because she had a lot of, she had Bowie. Bowie was the lynch of everything of her record collection, and then some different people. There's a guy called Colin Scott who was someone that she used to date, and he had a record. So I never, meeting someone when I was really young who actually had a record, and I listened to his record. My mum would play like, she loved Queen, Roberta Flack, and the Carpenters. It'd be on sort of permanent rotation between those three acts. So I know all their stuff. And then with my aunt, she was a sort of hipper, Velvet Underground, Bowie, Velvet Underground. So that was the kind of stuff that I grew up listening to.
A little bit of glam.
Yeah, for sure. Like Gary Glitter was like the first record. I grew up in North London, just down a road from a shop called Manzi's, which is a record store. For those of us that don't know, record stores, people used to
remember record stores?
You buy records from them. So I used to go, like, pocket money I'd get, and every week I'd go up and buy a different single, and then they would try and school me in the ways of music and what was going on and stuff like that. So music was a big part of my life growing up.
When did you first decide that music was something that you wanted to pursue?
Well, when I was about 13, my sister's boyfriend, he's a punk band called The Nobodies, and I used to go with him to rehearsals. And I used to watch sound checks at certain shows, Dublin Castle, places like that. But I couldn't really get into those shows, I was too young. But I used to, help him load in, used to go to rehearsals. And that's when he gave me my first bass. That's when I began to play music and really enjoy it. And it was only when I ran out of school that I figured that I really better figure what I wanted to do, and that's when I really embraced doing music and thought of it as a full-time thing and a vocation. And then my full love affair with actually making it began.
So bass was your first instrument?
Yeah.
Was there something about that was attractive to you, or was it simply that that's the guitar you were given?
I've always thought it was a really sexy, instrument. I mean, growing up in London with, Notting Hill Carnival, with the whole dub world, the whole, love of reggae.
Can you explain that a little bit? Because a lot of people don't know what Notting Hill Carnival is.
Okay, so we're Notting Hill, west of London, obviously, and it was not so much like my best friend lived in Notting Hill, so I'd be there all the time. So it's not just the carnival, but it's basically a real, some heavy
big
Jamaican,
West Indian.
Yeah, Jamaican
immigrant
culture,
population.
Yeah, population there. That's where it was, All Saints Road, and so growing up there, you'd hear out of every house all the different, some roots, dub, and a lot of dancehall. So I grew up listening to all the time. That kind of music it was like punk music, rock music, and dub is what we used to listen to exclusively growing up. Because if you liked punk music, the whole thing was reggae was the only style of music you were allowed to listen to politically. It was the only thing that was as cool. And I later found out that Don Letts was saying that it's when the punk clubs, the reason they played all the reggae is because that's all they had. There was no other music for them to play as the DJs in those clubs. It was that mixture. So growing up, I've always loved bass. I mean, I write most of my songs on bass now. I love the bass.
What music were you listening to by now?
That was Public Image. Then there was a bit of the American stuff was coming in, so it was Public Image, going into The Fall, going into, then it was falling in love with 4AD, and then Throwing Muses, Pixies. So suddenly this whole other side of music's coming along, which used this big round dubby bass, but with more punky guitars. So it's like, you know, I always laugh about, like, in Piccadilly Circus, centre of London, you see like all the punks with a green mohawk, like it's still happening. But in a way, for a lot of the punks, they moved on and it became the post-punk thing, and that was the Public Image, The Fall. That's where those bands seem to come from.
So what is this, like 1980, 79, 80?
Yeah, 81, 82, that kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah, those kind of things.
Mind strong, body strong. Try to find equilibrium. Head straight, screwed up for too long. Don't want to leave on the ways. Watch the storm evaporate. I think of you, starry skies. Keep you so alive. Let's walk through the fire together. Disappear in the golden sands. It's all in your face. I see you break. It's like the sound of winter. The bleeding of love. The silent escape. You got to hang on to yourself. It's like the sound of winter. Judas smiles, Judas lips, open arm, fingertip. Love bites, recompense. I'll be with you till the end. Let's walk through the fire together. Disappear in the golden sands. It's all in your face. I see you break. It's like the sound of winter. The bleeding of love. The silent escape. You got to hang on to yourself. It's all in your face. I see you break. It's like the sound of winter. The bleeding of love. The silent escape. You got to hang on to yourself. It's like the sound of winter. Hang on to yourself. Hang on to yourself. It's like the sound of winter. It's all in your face. I see you break. It's like the sound of winter. The bleeding love. The silent escape. You got to hang on to yourself. It's like the sound of winter. It's like the sound of winter. Hang on to yourself. Hang on to yourself.
So how did Bush come about?
This girl who I was dating at the time introduced me to Nigel, and she said, I got this friend of mine, and he was doing film music then, and he, you know, it was like I was just another singer coming along to his house and talking to him about starting a band. So it was weird because I'd bring songs round to his house, and he'd do demos of them. Like Come Down was probably the first demo we did, and I was offering myself up, saying, well, shall I come and we'll write together? And he said, no, it's much better if you just bring me songs and we'll demo them, because that's how I like to work. I think that what he meant was he didn't necessarily believe that anything would happen with this, and he didn't want to waste his time doing unpaid work, me coming around going, I got this song, what do you think? So he liked me to get it together, and that's really what set the tone of how I work. And so when I went to Nigel, I said to him, I have these a few songs I got together, and that's how it worked. And that really shaped, even in Bush, all the way through. That's always how it was I would get together a song, and then I'd bring it to him, and then we'd flesh it out.
When did you guys decide that this was actually something that was going to work?
I think that once we just got together enough material that you could sit back. I remember in my flat, my apartment in London, when I was growing up. There was 5 of us living in it, and we had this long corridor, and I used to have the stereo on a medical cabinet, a trolley. It would go up and down the hallway with the speakers and everything, so you just lift it up. So whichever part you were in the house, in the flat, you could listen to music. And I remember listening to the demo of Come Down, and I think there was, little things on there, Zen. And I basically had a run of 5 songs. And I remember lying in the bath and just thinking that, hearing it back, like just being blown away, because I'd, always believed in what I was doing and worked with great people, but at the same time, it never quite, somehow it didn't come together in the way that when I listened to those songs, I thought that there was something good there. And this was at a time in London when Britpop was really big, and so everything was about Blur and
Oasis.
And Suede and all those bands that were they're really good bands and they're doing their thing really well, but it wasn't what I was interested in. So my stuff and the stuff we were doing was like super uncommercial. There was no chance ever of coming to America, signing a record deal, getting recognition. It was never. It was it's so brilliant being that young and just not ever thinking about tomorrow. It just was like, how am I going to satisfy today? What's going to be great? And being in a band with a good set list and good songs together was really the kind of the limit of it. I never really ever thought about this size of where we got to.
Well, the interesting thing, I think, you talk about Britpop and some of the bands that were obviously doing really well over there at the time. In the States, it was a completely different scene. We had Nirvana, Pearl Jam, the whole grunge thing, 2 completely separate scenes happening in London and in the States as well. Did you relate to the music that was being made here more than the music that you were hearing in London?
What was the big turning point for me was seeing Jane's Addiction at a small club. It was the Acklam Hall, the Tabernacle in Portobello Road. And I saw this band, and I'd heard about them, again, from Music Press, whatever, I'd read about this band. And when I saw Perry Farrell performing, it just changed my life, just blew me away.
Bleach the sky. mood. Welcome my friends to the little things that came. Tearing out of my brains again on our little things that came. Tearing out of my brains again on our little, 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 little. Here come the little things. Here come the little little things that kill you. Stone cold, stone cold, stone cold. Watch your back as life comes over you. Choose your weapons for you have to disappear the sea of danger. Go straight, go faster. I see you dance. I see you dance to the radio. Go again. Go again. All my life I have waited for this moment. All my life tonight, tonight. Touch the sky because now we are weightless, moving out into empty spaces. We are faceless, we are soldiers. We believe what you told us. Sing it down, sing it down to the radio. All my life I have waited for this moment. All my life tonight. Buildings burn down. All my life I have waited for this moment. All my life tonight. And I lose myself for you. And I lose myself for you. All my life I have waited for this moment. All my life tonight. Buildings burn down. We're running out of time. We got to get this right. Here we are tonight. We're oceanside. All my life tonight. Oceanside. We're oceanside.
So tell us about the first record, how all those influences, those moments, seeing Perry Farrell, the demos you did with Nigel, how that coalesced together into the first Bush record.
Well, the first Bush record, then what happens, we were doing some demos at a studio in Harlesden, which has the biggest biggest projects in Europe there. It's a pretty deadly area, and this guy arrived, Rob Kahane, who was starting a label in the Valley, independent label called Trauma Records, and gave us this chance of giving us a record deal. Some people, friends of us, were like, you're mental, going with some unknown guy, a small label in the Valley. But then we knew that there was nothing much on the table for us. We all had day jobs. It was like paintings, working on building sites, art departments, wherever I could work to make money. Worked in a coffee shop, whatever, different things. And it was a lifeline. And so we then set about finding a producer, and I thought that since there was enough American in us, in the sound, we got Clive Langer, who did all Madness records, lived in Camden, and he wrote that Robert Wyatt song, Shipbuilding, with Robert Wyatt, which I love that song. It's an amazing song. So I just figured that anyone that had controlled Madness, had written that song, lived in Camden. I'm really all about instinct, you know. I go and meet someone, if you get on with them, and Clive is, I love Clive. I did 2 records with him and Alan, and so then we did the record in wherever it was, West London, Shepherd's Bush, well, near Shepherd's Bush.
And that's where the name of the band comes from, as we...
No, the name of the band comes from my 2 favourite inspirations, so it's like nothing to do with that. Just
Okay.
I always thought. My mum actually got mugged in Shepherd's Bush when I was with her, so I always wanted. It's always been my revenge on Shepherd's Bush to be successful using the name. But it's a nice gentrified place now. That probably doesn't happen anymore.
So you signed with Trauma Records, as you said, which was a new label.
Yeah, brand new label in the Valley.
Small label out of the Valley. Things happened pretty quickly, though.
Well, they did. Well, except that when we did the record, we finished the record, and this was, you know, unbelievable process to make the record as this legacy. You know, the feeling, your first record, and you just can't believe it. Legacies like kill me now. I don't care about anything. I've done it. I told you about a musician. It's all that. You just feel so great. You can't believe that you actually achieved to make a record. Just make a record.
Just the fact that you've done it.
Yeah, and then we were on where our distribution fell through, and Trauma lost the distributor, and I went back to work. So I went back to work for 4 months, and I was painting. I painted 11 identical dentist offices. It was like Kafka, because they were like really big. They're a little bit bigger than this room, and there was 11 in a row, and all in magnolia, which is this like really bad peach colour, so you put on walls, and so that they wouldn't have to paint it back. If you do it white, it's going to fade real quick. It'd get filthy.
Do it so it already looks faded.
Well, just that wear and tear means I don't have to do it again for years. So this was like...
So you're painting dentist offices?
Yeah, and that's when I then literally got the call that K-Rock was playing the record. Of course, that didn't mean anything to me.
But K-Rock is the big alternative radio station in Los
Exactly.
Angeles that at the
That's
time could make or break a band.
Yeah, well, I still think they can now, but but that time for sure, it was the make or break call.
And what was the track that they...
Everything Zen.
So they started playing Everything Zen.
They started playing it, and that was it. Then we came over and we did a show over here, and we played the Dragonfly in Santa Monica. And I remember the power went out 4 times when we were playing. Basically, it was one plug. They plugged the whole band into a plug. So it was really... so we were playing, and it reached these crescendos, and it's stopping. And Kevin Weatherly came into the dressing room, and I was thinking, I just don't want it to die. I was like...
We should point out that he's the program director of the radio station you're talking about.
Kevin Weatherly still is the program director of K-Rock. And he came in and he goes, you guys are the real deal. You guys are unreal. Just keep playing. It's going to be great. And we came back out and we played. We finished the set. And then that was in like November of 94. Then we came on tour January 95, first show at CBGB's, which was the first show we'd ever sold out in that way with a record out and everything. And so that was when that was like the next moment along from the Bath moment where I realized that something was really up, because it was just full of like, you know, tattooed geezers, really beautiful girls. And I was like, and it took about 20 minutes to get from the front. It was a real skinny, it was like a bar, you know, it was a bar. And to get from the back into the stage, and that's when it really felt like something was really bubbling at the top 100.
And then Glycerin, Come Down, things really blew up.
Yeah, Little Things, yeah. So we hit like this, yeah, it was like 5 #1 singles off that record. Machinehead, spell the rest, green to red. Machinehead, got a machine head, spell the rest, green to red. Walking my machine, walking my machine.
work for my machine. I work for my machine. My machine.
You hit a moment, though, I think, in American music, where bands like Pearl Jam, obviously, the whole grunge thing was exploding, alternative radio was exploding, and you hit that moment. What was it like as a British band, I guess, who perhaps weren't that well known back at home, being recognized for playing that style of music? And was there anything about that that came back from New Musical Express, for example, or criticism of like this British band playing this American style of music that maybe affected you?
Well, I think that what happened is that it was disarming for them because, as I talked about earlier, the taste tunnel, the wind tunnel that everybody is filtered through, we circumvented. When we went out on tour and we were playing somewhere, people wanted to come, and when we deliver songs to the radio, people would play them. And when we did a video, there was a great time then at MTV that used to play music videos. So the combination between the radio play, the TV exposure, and the fact of being on tour non-stop for like whatever it was, years and years, that just put us in a really good position. Now, that whole criticism thing and the whole thing is, you know, that was a separate issue, and you know, people just have opinions, and that's what they have to do, you know. But I know that I played to a lot of people that were really happy, and I still meet people now, and still, you know, with this reunion, rebirth of Bush, it's people are relieved about it, and people are thankful towards me because it brings it back for them.
She saw the pieces of her yesterday. She was wondering how she'd fade away. Who loved her and really listened in, whether she had made a difference. He's a soldier of misfortune. 7 steps to make, 1 forward. How the truth hurts, the lies that crystallize. Try to wrap your arms around a memory. Maybe you are not where you're meant to be. Lord knows we're not who we think we are. All night doctors, all night preachers, all night girls to get you through. Lost and wasted, hope is fading, and I wait here for you. Secret life of our interiors, where most girls are superior. Every day I'm on slide for you, and every night it's the same. I'm waiting for the world to change, for all the fighting to die away. Find comfort in your memory. I'm not where I'm meant to be. You shine, the world stops, and God's a humble. All night doctors, all night preachers, all night girls. don't know. Were you ever my love? Were you ever my love? I don't know.
Well, there was a lot of success, obviously, on that first album. You followed it up with Razor Blade Suitcase, which was also successful. Millions of records. Perhaps the end of the record industry, really. You were sort of there at the tail end of people being able to achieve multi-platinum success.
I always like the idea that records, you progress through your career and you do different things. You know, if you look at my discography, it goes from 16 Stone, which is sort of studio stuff, a passionate, angry, younger band, and then Razor Blade Suitcase was like having been on tour for two and a half years, 3 years. Surfer Rosa, Rid of Me, Steve Albini, you know, Big Black, Shellac, Rape Man, just the king of underground recording. So we wanted to go with him. It was a flying in the face of what we should have done, Nirvana done in utero. It was a, sometimes when it's the worst decision to make, for some reason it turned us on to make that decision. So it was like work with Steve, because he can really pick up, you don't do any overdubs and you play pretty much live with him. He doesn't care about production allegedly, so he's not going to arrange a record. So we did that record with him. Science of Things, and again was like, okay, now I wanted to make more of a hi-fi record, not so organic and bleeding, and something that you know, incorporated stuff that we were talking about earlier that I grew up on, more programming in it. And so then when I did Golden State, it was actually the first record I made with an American producer, Dave Sardi, and the first record I made here. That's why it was called Golden State in California. So yeah, I think that tons of that record was probably going back closer towards 16 Stone, actually, on that record in a way. But it signaled, it felt like the end of something. A scene had, you know, I agree, something had changed, things shift and you can't keep going. And then there was, you know, young, exciting bands coming along. That was like the advent of Strokes, I think, with a really big noise at the time with their first record. And so it just seemed the right time for a hiatus. And I always was turned on. I always wished I'd been signed to like Domino or Matador, 4AD, you know, Mute, all these bands.
These very cool independent labels.
Independent labels that were like the seal of approval of, you're great, you know, and Rough Trade. I probably wasn't good enough to get on those labels, so I didn't make it onto those things. So I thought I would create that on my major label situation. And so I did a side project. I did Institute with Chris. And I just thought that would reinvigorate Bush, because it would be the side project. I go and do this detuned, cool record with Paige Hamilton from Helmet. And I do that for like 6-8 months. And then I'd come back and do Bush. And then it just didn't work like that, you know, best laid plans.
again. I try to fix it good, I try to patch it up. I got a manual that tells us how we have to love. Forgot your neighbor, forgot your love. Forgot the strangers who could never get enough. Why don't you let it go? Why don't you let it go? Why don't you let it go? Let it go. And I give myself away when there's nothing left to say. I surrender myself to the wind. I've been fading fast within into the afterlife. You and me into the afterlife. You and me. You and me. Come inside. Come over here. I remember you through all the years. Don't try to run us down when the world is at your feet. Don't let the bed bite. She got the antidote. She know the other way. She really understand. I don't know what the hell to say. I'm on the other side. I'm on the other side. I'm an exile to the left. I'm a late night. I give myself away when there's nothing left to say. I surrender myself to the wind. I've been fading fast within into the afterlife. You and me into the afterlife. You and me. Why don't you let it go? 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 Let it go, let it go.
When you look at where you're at today, with the level of success you've obviously achieved with Bush first time around, is it almost like starting again?
The solo career felt like starting again. Bush feels like coming home. It's where I feel most. I'm recomplete in Bush. I'm at my simplest. I'm at my best, and I'm just at my most open because Bush is who made me who I am professionally, and somewhat privately as well. Personally. So it doesn't feel like starting over. I definitely don't have expectations that I think I'm going to go in and have this massive success that we had before. I'm wide awake to the climate. So for us it's planting seeds and just playing within ourselves and always underplaying. So I have no idea of the side of the audience. I just know that there are some people that will come and see us and we'll be at a level. Bearing in mind that how I grew up and the bands that I idolized and thought were so brilliant, that level of touring I already know I can do right now in Bush because that's what I'm doing. So for me, it was never about playing the Staples Center. It was always about playing really cool theatres, you know, multiple nights, you know. That's what, you know, when the Pixies played, you know, 5 nights at Brixton Academy. When we played 5 nights at Brixton Academy, I felt that that was like really, we'd plateaued in terms of my expectations or my wildest dreams, and everything else is just gravy.
And you really wanted to play the Guitar Centre is what you really wanted to do.
That's right. Yeah.
It's been a pleasure talking to you. Gavin
Thanks,
Rossdale
Nick.
from Bush. Thank you.